Welcome to the No Streetlights podcast. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Tim. We're veterans, here to talk about mental health, resilience, and the real struggles we face every day.
Our goal is to foster kindness through understanding. So, let's take a breath, relax, and be welcome. All right, guys, buckle up. We're back on the show. We brought back Eric Spears. He was in the Army, he was in the Navy, did corrections. Now he's a competitive shooter. He's a great guy. He has opinions, and he's thought about them. Welcome back. Today we're talking about masculinity, and I'm already fucking tired of it. So Eric, welcome back.
Hello, thank you for having me. It's been a long time in the making. I don't think the Rothschilds wanted us to record this episode.
I'm really glad we're back here with you, Eric. The topic of choice is, a little bit less than exciting, but whatever.
I think it's very exciting.
Well,
everyone's already exhausted. That means we need to talk about it.
The question is, what does it really mean to be a man in today's world? That's the feeling, the start, the vibe of where we're coming at when we're approaching masculinity. Because in my opinion, and, maybe putting the cart before the horse a little bit here, but I have a feeling that masculinity inherently is not bad. It's not toxic. In fact, I think that there is a culture surrounding masculinity that should be instilled and embraced by the younger generations and the up-and-comers, by young men and even young women. I think there's a lot of aspects of masculinity that are toxic, and because this conversation has been beat to death, and you even have toxic masculinity influencers and people who rose to power per se by feeding into what we would consider toxic masculinity. So Eric, I'm excited to dive into this with you, man. I can't wait to hear some of your opinions on this. And being a guy who got to see both sides, Navy and Army, plus now on the outside doing corrections, dude, come on. I'm sure you have seen a lot of different kinds of masculinity throughout your career.
Oh, yeah.
And growing up even. And Aaron, well, Xiaolin Wu Zhan. So let's dive into it, boys.
Yeah.
I was waiting for a question to happen.
Oh, yeah, I was just thinking like something I think a lot of people get twisted is there's the people that think all masculine things are inherently bad. A small subsect, but it's still there, and that's obviously no good. Like people that think that if you lift or you train martial art or you like guns or you like mechanical skills, all that, like, oh, you're toxic. It's like, no, that's not the case. And then of course you got on the flip side, you have the people that invest way too much into that in a very fragile sense, and they base all of their masculinity on that. And they're not good providers or protectors. And I think it just kind of spirals out from there with all these opposing viewpoints on what it should and shouldn't be. But I think a good common through line I think we can all agree on is as long as you're like a protector and a provider, then you're doing all right.
I'm going to write that down. Protector and provider. Because I think that's the two labels that people most associate with masculinity. And this is how men get roped into feeling like this is a job and they hate it.
Yeah.
So the two things I think of when I think of masculinity, and in our script we have it a little behind the scenes here, as defining a moving target. Because it is constantly evolving. I think it was protector and provider, but I think now it's supporter and protector. Meaning people feel safe around us, not that we're compelling people to do the thing, and that people feel like they can be themselves, because them being themselves doesn't affect us. We're just here to make sure everyone's safe and everyone's cool. Everyone's calm. And we think of femininity as like warmth and comfort. And a person can and should embody both of these things in whatever balance makes sense for their 5 aggregates in my
Mm-hmm.
hilarious reference to Buddhist things that like half the people are not going to understand.
The ones who get it. Comment down below. Put an F in the chat. F in the chat, guys.
Pay respects.
One thing about masculinity that really sticks out to me and how I have framed it in my mind is looking at it as like more of a toolbox, kind of like how you explained it, Aaron, with embracing both the divine masculine and the divine feminine. There are tools of masculinity that I think you should absolutely reach in and utilize as needed when needed. And this even fits into roles such as like leadership positions. I've known plenty of feminine leaders and male leaders who utilize masculine techniques in order to provide a strong and competent environment. I want to make sure I say it clearly because they were employing these masculine techniques in a non-toxic manner. That doesn't mean that all the leaders I have seen are not toxic and haven't experienced, delving into those toxic sides, but utilizing masculinity in a positive sense and looking at it as a tool rather than something you have to embody 24/7, I think is a very healthy way to approach it.
Yeah, something I wanted to bounce off you guys is like, it kind of ties into men being vulnerable, because I've been very fortunate. A lot of the men and women in my life have allowed me to be emotionally vulnerable. But unfortunately, I've heard a lot of guys talk about how, like, if they are vulnerable with their significant other, like, she'll just, like, not be about it at all, not be supportive or find him less attractive. And that's not something I've experienced, but I've heard it enough from other men. It's kind of concerning. And then, of course, you have other men that also don't emotionally support people. Like, they'll belittle you for being emotional or vulnerable. But I've seen it both ways. I've seen men, it's like, hey, always support the homies, always talk to the homies. And other men, it's like, oh yeah, if you're being a bitch, you're being a pussy, yeah.
Yeah, rub some dirt in it, brother.
I think a lot of this is trauma-based, as most people are going to agree, where people are looking for that balance of support, protection, love, and protection, in a more emotional capacity. And whenever the needs aren't met for a period of time, there becomes a problem in the system. It shows up like a physical malady, like you need something, like you're vitamin deficient. So I do think it's important that Tim said that we embody these things in balance. And as Eric is kind of saying here, we don't let traditional definitions define what we're doing, but we're really going situationally with our core ethos and making sure that we're acting in alignment at all times.
Yeah.
I'm glad you touched on the concept of a lot of this being trauma-based, because to me, I think the other probably smaller majority of those individuals probably exist in what's called an echo chamber. What I think is important is the stigma that surrounds men expressing their emotions. It's not something that just men are raised with or young boys are raised with. Young women and children of all kinds of places and people are raised with these general concepts of what a man and what a woman should be, these gender standard norms that everybody talks about, these societal creations. I mean, just to be 100% blunt and honest with you. And we live in a time period where that is accelerated on such an enhanced ramp. Like, social media's influence over how many children see masculine men and feminine females and body types and things of that nature. These things are, people were worried about it in the 90s or whatever because of movie stars and everything. It's significantly worse now because everybody's a star. Everybody can get on social media and become an influencer overnight. A couple good videos and boom, you're there. And then if you are a person who suffers from some sort of, unresolved trauma or echo chamber based concepts, you're getting on social media and then you're the one who's explaining that and then continuing that and perpetrating that. There's a Instagram shorts creator. I think her name is Emily King, something like that. I see her videos all the time. She always does like the same slide into the mirror intro. She usually is responding to a clip of a female woman or somebody complaining about acts of their boyfriend or male friends or whatever. And she usually jumps in and says like, well, maybe you should think about it, blah, 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 from this. And she reinforces, positive femininity while also explaining that toxic masculinity's forms aren't necessarily always to be viewed in a toxic manner. And I think that's important because she's advocating for both sides. She's explaining to women that, hey, you should try and approach it from this type of situation. And then she also talks about how men and their mental health is far more important than we have given it credit for in the past. And because of that, toxic masculinity and things of that nature, the toxic, fragile egos and all that, it's exploding. It's coming out. You can only bottle stuff up for so long, you know what I mean? Boil all that down. What I'm saying basically is masculinity itself is not the enemy, okay? It's about which version of masculinity you're going to live by. That's really what matters.
Yeah, I almost feel like there's like this conspiracy sometimes that they're trying to make masculinity go away. And sometimes I can kind of see the point. I think maybe it stems from an overcorrection. People have seen like the bad it can do when it gets to too much, all the toxic sides we talk about. But then again, I think we're reaching a point where it's overcorrecting and masculinity is going away in some aspects. And it's good to hold on to the positive sides that it can have.
A high and to the right response, just in general, because of how society has viewed it from the past. I mean, dude, I always talk about how the military is a microcosm of actual society. Like, join any military branch and just see how they operate at your command level, and you will understand how everything operates at the major level. Or macro scale. Yeah. I said it. Yeah. I said it in last week's episode. I couldn't say it in this week's episode, apparently, but in the military, you'll also see those kind of concepts and you can dive into it. For some reason, you mentioning the testosterone issue really brought up the male loneliness epidemic to me.
Yeah. I've been consistently hearing that just across the board, men's testosterone is lower than it was decades ago.
Yeah.
And
I remember seeing something that equated that to being like a lot of because of plastics, like microplastics and stuff.
That wouldn't surprise me. Just all the shit in our food in general.
Lower testosterone and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the high and to the right correction was, society in general was just like, hey, we feel like masculinity is too toxic. So now the response is get rid of all the masculinity, period. Mm-hmm. And that's not the response.
No.
I have 2 cents, guys.
Man.
Lay it on me. Put them on the counter.
I'm so mad.
Dude.
I'm going to bring up something we've mentioned, and I'm going to define it in 2 seconds. This is the concept of fragile masculinity, which is one of the things we're getting at. People can have all sorts of takes, but if you are embodying masculine energy, nothing is a threat to you. You are safe. You exist and you persist. The other things are happening, and that's okay. So, fragile masculinity is whenever someone is in a place where they feel unstable, and then anything happening as a stressor threatens to shatter the delicate balance they have, and then they start externalizing in maladaptive ways. So, moving forward, we as a community are deciding that we're going to embody healthy masculinity, and a large part of that is all of us regulating our nervous system, finding parasympathetic activation, so that we stop acting with our hindbrain in a survival response, and instead we make a response package that aligns with what we want the world to look like moving forward. So the first realization for people who are like clenched up right now, I want you to realize nothing's a threat to you. You can let go. It's okay. You can come learn Kung Fu. You can go lift. You can invite me to the gym with you. I will work out with you. You can be yourself at all times, and that's okay. If you're vulnerable and someone's shitty, that doesn't change you. That's just another piece of data. I just go, that person kind of fucking sucks. I needed to express my emotion. I did. Someone had a shit response, and now I know something I didn't know, and I've let go of something. Then move forward.
When someone gives you a shit response, just don't associate with them anymore. Stay away.
Yeah, fragile masculinity is an interesting one to talk about, because my favorite like videos to reference back to in the middle of our own content now. But fragile masculinity, I feel like we delved into that during our Judith Barcy episode, which is a heavily underrated and underviewed video. But yeah, fragile masculinity, it just refers to the anxieties or insecurities men feel about not meeting the cultural standards of like manhood and those gender norms and societal norms that we talked about a little bit ago. And I think one of my favorite things to see lately is referencing back to this video about how Vegeta shattered the concept of the alpha male. Man, you can learn so much about life through Dragon Ball. It's crazy.
100%. I want to share a couple anecdotes.
I love anecdotes.
Number one, we're spreading the power of shut up.
Oh.
You're allowed to just say shut up. If someone's being problematic, you can say shut up. And when they go, what? I'm just freedom. Say, you're being problematic. You're digging your own grave. As a friend, shut up. We could talk about this later. Type shit. Honestly, you can embody type shit. Next, another part of healthy masculinity is blunt honesty. Somebody I served with in Greece, who I did not have tight interactions with, showed up to Japan, and they were like, hey, what's up, my boy? And I was like, we're not boys. I don't know you. We were in the same place once. That's another, you should just be honest. If someone's trying to present something, it's kind of a dick move to, but why would you act like we're boys when I don't fucking know you? Come on. And then the third example is one thing my wife always points out, that Hyland and I changed her life when we were at like a Italian restaurant, and this dude was being a jerk to the lady behind the counter. And Hyland and I were like, hey, whoa, dude, no, you're chilling out right now. Like, that's not cool. She's doing her job. You need to take a step back and relax. And we like walked him out of the restaurant, with our verbals. Didn't have to. You're allowed to talk to people and talk people down and give instructions. And she was like, oh, you're just allowed to correct people. You're allowed to stand up for others. And that's healthy masculinity. And now my wife is embodying healthy masculinity, which is something Tim has mentioned, that these aren't for biological males. These are for all human beings, in the same way that Tim and I have like held each other. That's a feminine act. But we're human beings, so sometimes we need to be feminine with each other, and sometimes we need to be masculine with each other. So understand the balance and embody the healthy. You can use the piss poor examples to just not do that.
I was just always thinking about the fun ways of expressing affection with other men.
Yes.
Was on the at the prison on the emergency response team. We're always hugging each other as soon as we see each other because we're all different shifts and we only train together once a month. So if we see each other on overtime, whatever, it's always a hug. I was walking back to, I was leaving the unit I was working to head to the front. And I ran into like 5 or 6 team members and we all hugged each other. And the guy I was with from my unit was like, "What's up with the hugging, man?" I was like, "You just got to hug the homies."
I hug all my homies at all times.
Yeah. And on the flip side, like when I was in the army, like I wasn't super touchy-feely with like my juniors, but I would like playfully like shadow box the side of their arm while I'm talking to them. I was like, "Hey man, how's your weekend going? You having a good time? How's your dad?" And they seem to respond positively to that, like lightly rustle them a little. And it's just the two things I always find it interesting because that's something I think I got from my dad. He'd always like lightly wrestle with me, building that like, you know, like little bears wrestling and whatnot. And then also like he could like hug me normally. And I think I just love the contrast of how we express that because I don't do that to women. I don't like playfully shadow box them. But with other men, you know, we'll do that, of course.
One thing that's really popped into my mind was, so recently I stopped, well, not recently, it's been a while now, but I've decided that whenever I see somebody or make a joke, it's always going to be like a positive joke. Like I don't want to engage in what I would consider a negative joke. Now, to explain this a little bit further, if I see somebody, I'll be like, and it's not necessarily a joke, but it's just like more, I'm throwing out compliments. Cause like, you know, whenever you meet with an old friend or something, sometimes people will be like, "Oh, what's up, ugly?" or something weird like that. Like I never liked when people did that. So anytime I see a friend, I'll be like, "Oh man, what's up, dude? Like, oh, did you get more handsome? Like, what's going on?" You know, just something that kind of like throws a little bit of positivity out there. I don't think it's worth being like, "Oh man, did you get shorter?" You know, that's like, I don't really feel like I'm getting anything from that. I don't feel like I'm contributing anything from that. But if I say something like, "Oh man, your hair looks great. Like, what, did you get it cut recently?" You know, like things like that, like implementing using positive language and warming and loving language towards your friends and stuff. And if you're going to make, you know, a joke or whatever, don't do it at their expense. Try and shift how you approach these interactions. I think it changes the footprint and the overall vibe of how your hangout or your conversation is going to go. If you just start off with, "Oh, did you get taller? Like, man, you look great today. Oh my God, dude, you've been hitting the gym, dude, man." You know, like I don't see anything wrong with that. I think that's perfectly great. I think that's perfectly masculine. And I think it's a very positive way to pump up whoever I'm talking to and keep that mindset going.
Something I was just thinking about, I think something about American male friendships. How do I put this? We're like harsher in a way through our affection. Like I remember, for an example, me and Aaron, there was a waterfall trail with some swimming holes we would go to in Japan. And, you know, Aaron wandered off as he does, and he was hanging out with a group of younger Japanese men. They were, you know, very soft and affectionate with each other. And like, he like playfully did a cannonball near one, and they were just kind of like, "What the fuck, bro?" And like, that would be funny to like me and Aaron. If he did a cannonball near me, it would have been like, I would have splashed back or whatever, but it was like almost really hostile for them.
Yeah.
As they were just, I don't mean it in a demeaning way, but their affection and their friendship was a little bit softer. Mm-hmm. So like when me and Aaron, you know, do like something a little bit rougher, more playful, it just came off weird to them. I don't know if you've seen that, like, excuse me. That's like, I think a common thing overseas, like Europe, Asia. Like male friendships are a little bit softer, not in like a negative way, but they're open to being more softer and vulnerable with each other.
I always refer to those kinds of like interactions as like love language, right? Like yours and Aaron's love language is doing cannonballs and splashing each other. You know, their love language was hugging and relaxing in the water and whatever. Yeah. I mean, I think that's how I would refer to it, as like what kind of love language. And in general, the love language in America does have more of a physical aggressive side, definitely. Like all of my friends in Italy, their love language and, you know, buddy talk or whatever with their friends was always just playfully silly stuff that never really felt harmful or anything. But I mean, granted, some of it was in Italian, so maybe it was way more harsh than I took, you know, but they all laughed and, you know, kissed each other on the cheeks afterwards and stuff like that. So, but that's another huge thing in Italy that they did is, you know, men, whenever they would greet other men, would do the, you know, the cheek kisses. These are things that in America, Americans, we are, whoa, what are you doing there, buddy? You know,
I think that paradigm's shifting though, because like you and I, we've kissed each other on the cheek, forehead, top of the head. Like that's something that's dying off from the last generation. That's one of the like paradigms.
I do think we're pushing that out of society. Thank God.
I want to touch back on Eric talking about shadowboxing his friend's arms when he's chatting them up. Another thing that I engage with regularly that Tim is now seeing is my intentional, direct, challenging eye contact at the Quan. When I'll literally stand at someone and stare them dead in the face for 6, 10, 20 seconds. And that's being brave enough to see the other person, which is something that we've identified as being truly necessary for growth, is to see and be seen. So being able to hold that eye contact and see each other, it is challenging, but it's also humanizing. Because then you're vulnerable with each other just by the shared human experience. And I'm glad that Tim brought up, wherever Tim is. Tim is
6'7",
really everywhere. 6'7". The difference in America with our like pioneering spirit, and we're only 250 years old, and like we're not from fiefdoms that are hundreds and hundreds of years old. In America, there is the underlying threat most of the time of I'll actually beat your ass, which in Europe and Asia and many other places around the world, it's like I'm going to yell at you and you're an asshole and we're going to be threatening and aggressive, but like we're not going to actually
fight.
We're not going to fight.
Yeah.
But in America, it's like we're ready on site. Like something happens, go time period. But we're learning that it doesn't have to be like that. We can respond instead of reacting.
Yeah.
Instead of punching someone in the mouth, I can say, hey man, I don't agree with that behavior. If I see it again, you're not going to be around me. And we might have an issue, you know, type
Yeah.
shit.
I also feel like in Canada and the UK at least, like you can have a scrap with somebody and it's not a big deal. But like in America, someone will get their emotions too involved and they'll try to kill you.
Yes. I also think that there should be like a mutual combat thing that is normal, healthy. Like if you want to prove it with your body, you can come try and prove it with your body. But it needs to be within due bounds. You know, we're going to fight. Once we understand what's up, we're good. Not, I'm going to go take this out on something else. Just, okay, we had an issue, we solved it, move on. Hopefully we can grow beyond that, but having that as a reasonable thing as long as everyone's consenting.
I just thought of this video of like two dudes in the middle of a intersection at a red light. They like throw some blows at each other and one takes the other to the ground. And then they hop up, shake hands, and go back to their cars. I was like, oh, that's awesome. It's good to see more of that.
Well, I definitely would like to explore more, but we're going to have to do that after the ad break.
This episode and many like it are brought to you by Dr. Ben Green, TCM of at ReadyAcU LLC.
Dr. Ben Green combines traditional Chinese medicine, movement therapy, and lifestyle support to help you get back to feeling like yourself. No gimmicks, just results.
And right now, you're going to get 50% off your first consultation when you use the code READY50 at checkout. And this includes 2 free follow-ups. That's over $100 value for those follow-ups for free.
All you have to do is go to @readyllc.com, click book now, and use code READY50 at checkout.
You're going to end up paying $79.50 for 3 consultations with Dr. Ben Green, a traditional Chinese medicine doctor who has incredible life experience and is going to facilitate you getting back to feeling like yourself.
Want to feel and move better? Dr. Ben Green can help.
Okay. I think the next part of this conversation is where mentorship comes into play.
I had this conversation with my cousin the other day because he's doing recruiting duty in town. So he tells me a lot about like the kids he sees at school and the kids who come and talk to him and ask about the military and stuff like that. And he's noticed that there's a very obvious disconnect between like life decisions and choices and options and like what kind of advice somebody should be giving them, right? Like, so kids don't know anything about, I mean, you don't think about it, but kids don't know anything about savings accounts. They don't know anything about credit cards. They don't know anything about how to buy a car. Like, these are things that they kind of eventually learn as they get more into adulthood and whatnot. But like having zero understanding of how life works outside of their house, that's kind of crazy, man. Like, everybody's lives are just so engrossed on social media that people are lacking real life mentors. I'm not talking like at your place of business. I'm talking about in life in general. And I think that is something that really needs to not only be brought back, but like we should go high and right with that one. You know what I'm saying? Like, we talked about going high and right with some of the other crap. Well, why don't we just go high and right with mentorship, man? Let's start getting these rolling out. So let's go.
Kind of reminds me of how like when I went from Japan to DC, I didn't understand how BAH worked because all I knew was OHA. So I got a place that was out of my budget.
Meaning overseas housing allowance and basic allowance for housing for those who don't speak acronym.
Yes.
Don't speak military pay. Yeah. They don't speak DFAS.
Yeah. And then, yeah, I feel like also tying back to my military time, even in the Army, I feel like I didn't quite fit a lot of leaders' idea of what I should be, and they left me by the wayside and just kind of didn't invest in me like I wanted. Which kind of sucks in hindsight because even some leaders that I really liked and respected did it to me.
Bringing masculinity into like the concept of like a relationship, especially regardless if that's like mentorship or friendships or whatever, right? Like, relationships are relationships here. Showing up as like a son, a father, a friend, a husband, you know, these are things that in like a vacuum, you would kind of feel like you're judged by how manly you are by like the people around you. I think that's a stigma that has been challenged a lot lately as well.
In a similar vein, I've had people, it's kind of funny. I've had a couple people ask me if I was like bisexual or something because I'm like chill and more open, I guess, with emotions. It's like, no, but funny you bring that up.
I've been asked that a couple of times. Are you bi? I'm like, no.
Same.
No, we just chill.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I'm confident and comfortable enough in who I am as a person that I don't need to change my behaviors or adjust to what like societal norms would be considered. And it's funny I'm bringing that up because are you guys like familiar with how the alpha, beta, sigma situation is like talked about online and how people...
A little bit. For a while, I thought the Sigma male thing was just a meme, and then I found out there's dudes out there that actually believe it and think that's what they are.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
Aaron,
oh, I thought this was a meme. You guys actually are buying into this.
what have you seen about the Sigma male? I'm curious.
Like I kind of dig it. It's something I kind of on paper I feel like it does apply to me. It's like
Unironically,
a more a more masculine male that's like a little bit more independent, doesn't try to lead or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, yeah, I could see that. And then of course it devolves from there. It's like they're like, I don't know, all these silly Sigma male grind set videos. You'll see like the comments like, oh yeah, he's patient and waiting. Yeah, he's me. They're just making up this fantasy about what or is or isn't. And I'm like, chill, bro. It's
The Marcus Aurelius complex Batman cape. Yeah.
Yes.
Just because you've listened to a little bit of Kant breakdown and Alan Watts does not mean you are evolved. We are still part of the eternal whole.
Yes.
We're still responsible to each other. And each of us is responsible for attaining mastery over something in our lives, even if that's the self. And being able to cultivate a community that is learning from that and growing from that. This is the lost art that we used to call mentorship that needs to be brought back as leadership, is us being out in the community and working and functioning as a community and showing people how they should be by how we show up ourselves. It used to be do as I say, not as I do. But now we're realizing we have to be the ones doing it so that others will follow.
Yeah.
So you can be Sigma all fucking day, but really we need your help out here.
Yes.
In the sense of like being a mentor, it's not necessarily about telling people how they, deal with credit cards and other life things like buying a mortgage. It can also just simply be showing somebody how to react in situations. Like Aaron and Highland at whatever restaurant it was that you guys walked that gentleman out. There might have been somebody there, a younger person who saw that and was like, that's what men are supposed to do.
I think we had a respectable disagreement at Kung Fu that we could speak to. At the Quan, I am a black belt, which means I'm responsible for like making sure that everyone's doing what they're supposed to be doing and learning the right things. Whenever any student signs up, Master Jason says, hey, go read the rules. The Quan is not a kind place. The Quan is a hard place. So Tim's wife committed an infraction against one of the rules, and I said, hey, yo, hey, go read that paper over there.
Go read the rules.
Tim was like, hey, did you just like tell my wife like to go read the rules? I was like, yes, I did. And he was like, I don't like that. I really don't like that. And I thought for a second, and I went, okay. We both looked at each other for a second, took a breath, and then like walked away. It's okay that Tim didn't like that. That is A-okay. That's not a threat to me. If Tim would have said, I'm going to beat your ass, I'd be like, LOL. Come on, bro.
That's a threat.
Yeah.
Kind of.
We shouldn't even have to get to scrapping and blah, blah, blah. No, just, hey, man, I don't like what you did. And then as the other person being like, I totally get it.
Yeah.
Whenever anyone says anything to my wife, I'm like, I'll eat you. So, like, I get it. I totally get it. I recently listened to a piece explaining how, thank you, Andrew Bustamante, people in red hats and people wearing rainbows want the same thing. They want to take care of the people around them. So why is everyone fighting? It's just two groups of people who want the same thing. So how the fuck are we letting this, get shaken up to the point that it feels oftentimes like we're on the brink of a civil war? Just we all just want to be safe and loved and seen and have the ability to live the life we want to live without being prosecuted.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that goes with the bad habits people have just been learning and passing down and echo chambering. But look, that can stop here. I mean, what was the thing that you always like to say, Aaron? Be a filter, don't be a pump.
Yeah, your mind should be a filter, not a pump.
Yeah, so embody that a little bit. Unlearn the bad habits. They can be unlearned. You are not stuck living in a world where you have to exude toxicity or unkindness. You can learn to change. You can approach a situation and tell somebody, I didn't like that. And that is okay. It doesn't have to go beyond that, really. We can unlearn these toxic behaviors, these immediate reactions we want to have, and we can learn to respond and not react.
A big thing that I've seen a lot lately is someone else's success should not threaten you.
Oh, yeah.
And so I just want to highlight real quick, bravo to everyone listening, because I know that you're out here doing that as well. So thank you for the work that you're doing and for being grateful for the work that I'm doing. I'm glad that we together have unlearned that negative trait of thinking someone else's success is to the detriment of us. The only thing that's to the detriment of us is the fact that $80 trillion went from the bottom 90% to the top 1% of earners in the economy. That's the real problem, not people in red hats and rainbows. Like, we should come together. We have more in common than we have in differences. We have to come together so that we can all eat.
Should really stop and wonder why those top 1% want us all bickering with each other.
What did they say in that movie, Bug's Life? It's like there's more of them than there are of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Eric, I'm very curious. Like, I had a mentor early on in the Navy who taught me that the road to success is not paved with the backs of your peers.
Over the backs.
Over the backs of your peers. It's probably one of my favorite lessons somebody has ever taught me in the military. And I'm curious, while you were in the Navy, did anybody ever teach you something like that? Did you ever learn something like that in the Army? Like, was that message ever given to you, or was that something you had to learn on your own?
I feel like I definitely had to learn that on my own. I felt better about it in the Army, even though I still had some issues. But I always felt like the road to chief was the ladder to chief was made out of the necks of junior sailors. But yeah, like I discussed in my episode discussing the Army, it was an improvement. But there's still a lot of toxic shit in the Army too, of course. Couple caveats I want to add. I had this young private that came to my company. He's freaking absolute stud. He went to Ranger School about a year.
Pickle?
I mean, he may have seen Pickle as an RI, but he was this. He went to Ranger School pretty early as like a PFC, but unfortunately, his stepmom that essentially raised him, so basically his mom, was about to die of cancer, and he had to drop from Ranger School. But man, I bring this up. What pisses me the fuck off about this is the commander of Ranger School at that time, took him in and talked to him and was like basically called him a quitter and a pussy for wanting to leave Ranger School to go see his mom die, which makes me absolutely livid.
Hey,
I don't know who that fucking commander is. If you're out there, fuck you. It's on site.
Yeah, it's on site.
Ranger School is always going to be there. The school's been around 70, 80 years now. It's always going to be there. Let this kid go see his mom die.
Do people not think what they're saying? Like,
they don't think about the impact on others.
It's crazy. People will never remember what words you said, but they will always remember how you made them feel. So if you go into a conversation and be like, I'm going to make you feel like shit during this entire conversation, guess what, dog? It doesn't matter if you're trying to motivate them or whatever.
You're an asshole.
That conversation made them feel like shit.
Thankfully, he was able to go back and be with his family.
Good.
But I could tell it left a bad taste in his mouth.
Oh, and dude.
I don't,
Yeah.
which is a shame because he would have been a fantastic soldier and eventually an NCO. So he's probably not going to re-enlist after that shit, and I don't blame him.
Yeah. We had our fair share of people who were like, you guys are the cream of the crop. Like I'm so glad you're out in the fleet because holy shit. And then they experience like their first 6 months on the road and they're like, dude, my leaders, like nobody helps me. Nobody does anything. I'll be like, I remember, dude, I would hit up junior sailors and be like, hey, did you know that you're on the hit list for X, Y, or Z? And they'd be like, no. I'd be like, dude, I sent out an email like last week. Did you not check it? And they're like, well, I don't have computer access. You've been here for a year and a half, dog. What do you mean you don't have computer access? Well, I didn't know I needed it. What? Bro, like that shit blows my mind. Like, I know we're talking about masculinity, but just diving into like concept, because I mean, I think there's aspects of masculinity that kind of bleeds into things like leadership and mentorship and stuff like that. And those things feed into it. And it's all cohesive. It all works together. It's the Lincoln log of love that goes into the human experience. But yeah, man, that's insane. Can't believe that. Terrible experience.
Yeah.
An important thing that we each need to integrate is ensuring your motivation is pure. Your motivation should be to be kind and helpful and for the advancement, not what can you get out of others. That's the big thing that was the takeaway from Kantian ethics. Thank you, other Eric. Was like, a person cannot be a means, they can only be an ends. You only do something for someone, not to get some later benefit from that person.
For sure. Yeah, I think if this commander realized, like, hey, if he just took this young soldier under his wing, is like, hey, man, good on you for coming out here. We want you to come back, go be with your family. It would have completely changed the trajectory of his career in a positive way. But yeah, it definitely is like that old school mentality that's like, oh, why are you quitting? Like, it's like, if we were deployed, you wouldn't get the opportunity. It's like, well, if we were deployed, you wouldn't even know because we wouldn't have phone access. So like, this is just a school at the end of the day.
I think this is a super pro tip that everyone should start adding to their filtration process is think, how is this going to land? Whenever I'm watching someone do Kung Fu, I think, what are they doing wrong that I'm labeling as wrong? What behavior do I want to see? And what words do I say in what order to get them from point A to point B? So whenever I'm having a conversation with anyone about anything, I'm thinking, where are we now? Where do I want to go? And what's the path? So I would honestly just give this to everyone. Start asking the question, how is this going to land? What is this going to evoke in the listener? Oftentimes, whenever I talk to people, I'll have the thought, I wish we had a transcript. So the person could literally just read their words and be like, what would these words evoke in you if they were said to you? So I'm thinking about that when I'm speaking. How would these words land on my ears? And that's the thing I'm grateful, Tim has asked about being a Christian practicing Buddhism. That's what it means to practice mindfulness, to think about the other as the self.
Yeah, I've definitely had that hard lesson where I'm trying to understand someone better and I just end up putting my foot in my mouth and made them feel worse.
The thing is being curious, being honestly curious. And this is another trick from Andrew Bustamante from his CIA training, is find the things that connect you and find out why they are the way that they are. Why are they doing the things they're doing? And through this show, we always say kindness and compassion through understanding is the shift we're trying to make. And I think that this conversation is really the clearest we verbalized that so far. Tim, I'm interested in what you've been writing.
It's going to sound random, but have you guys ever had a conversation where you felt so embarrassed afterwards, like you literally died?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, but did you actually die?
No.
Yes.
I wanted to.
Aaron Lore is insane, dog. This man's been dead a couple times.
For tax reasons.
But
He reads the book about it.
cut that. Yeah. No, but my point is simply like, you can practice these communication skills with people. And if you fuck up the conversation, you fuck up the conversation, but you ain't going to die. It's not the end of the world. Like, I have said dumb shit in front of people before. And I mean, yeah, I'm haunted a little bit by the regrets and, you know, the late night, wake up in the middle of the night after having a dream of calling my teacher mom. But practice these communication skills with the people around you, your friends, your affiliates, your coworkers, the person at the grocery store, the cashier, the waiter or waitress. Like, just talk with people, learn these communication skills. It's really important to understand how to communicate so you can understand why you communicate.
Something I wanted us to touch on, because me and Aaron, we had a good conversation the first time we attempted this, is like how to masculinity within like your romantic relationships, like us being married. Like I remember, I think Nicole brought Aaron his coffee or something, and it instantly reminded me is like how there's this weird thing developing over the years about like people are misunderstanding what simping is, where they'll think like being good to
Being
your
a
partner
healthy relationship.
Yeah, they'll call that simping. It's like, no, that's simping is giving too much attention to someone that either doesn't want it or isn't reciprocating it.
I think of simping as like groveling.
Yes, that for sure. But like me being kind to my wife and vice versa, that's not what that is. You silly.
She's being in a healthy marriage.
I think a lot of people are using the words wrong, and it's good for us to call that out and be like, you need to start using the proper terminology. Like, we're not, I love my wife. And like, do I simp over her? Well, yeah, kind of, actually. I do simp over my wife. Yeah, I'm more than happy to do so. But like this whole internet gooning culture, simp, e-girl, e-boy stuff that's going on, like it's
giving me allergies.
The loneliness epidemic that's going on out there. Dog, touch grass.
And just deal with people like they're fucking people.
Yeah.
One of the secrets of like there are no secrets is literally no one cares. No. You said some embarrassing shit or did like whatever, dog. At Kung Fu the other night, people did weird, embarrassing shit. And we're like, oh, I'm sorry. Did I mess that up? And I'm like, yeah, you did. That's normal. People are messing shit up all the time. And they're like, what? I'm like, just do it again. Who gives a shit? That's the meaning of Kung Fu is do it again.
Chop wood and carry water.
You turn in the product. You assess what you turned in. And then you go back and do it again. And if you think anyone's going to hate you for learning, you are stunting your own learning. I think Tim and Aristotle had a good conversation about like, just be cringe. Just be who you are. And if someone has a response to that, that's on them.
That's on them, dog. You can be cringe. If you're the kind of guy who likes, or kind of guy or girl who likes to wear the cat ears and whatever.
Paint your fingies. Who fucking cares?
I painted my toenails for a little while there when I was in Italy because I was bored. And I didn't care. I walked around my house with pink toenails and I didn't mind who saw it. I think as friends, as trying to be positive role models for other people out there, embodying positive, healthy, masculine and feminine traits are important. Masculinity in itself doesn't have to be a bad thing. It doesn't have to be toxic. It doesn't have to be fragile. It can be healthy. It can be important.
Life's about balance.
Masculinity is, man. Suffering is, man. Everything is.
Let it be. Let it go.
Be. Just have good intentions.
Eric, Is there anything else you want to talk about before we get into this outro?
Nothing comes to mind off the top of my head. I think we hit some good points. It was a fun discussion.
Thank you again for coming along for this journey. I hope to see you bringing us some content to the table here soon. What's up? What's up? Hopefully we're going to talk to Britt here soon. What's up? What's up? Thank you all for listening to the episode. That's been fucking awesome. Thanks, dog. What's up? Fucking dap me up, dog. What's up, dog? A special shout out to our patrons. Who do we have at the $20 tier?
We have Atticus Thatcher. We have Eric Spears.
Hello.
And we have Jason Groups.
What up?
What up, dog? And then Aaron at our next tier, at our next shout out tier. Whomst do we have?
We have Ketria Hausner and Highland Markle. I'm going to go off script and let you guys know that at the $5 club, we have Casey Shaw and Jake Myers. I got to call you guys out sometimes. Today's one of them days. I appreciate y'all.
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for helping us support the show. If you guys are brand new over here, consider subscribing, liking the video, sharing with a friend, maybe sharing on social media, whichever. We are on Apple and Spotify, YouTube. You can listen to the audio. You can watch the video. It's up to you. It is important for us to note that our show cannot be substituted for professional medical advice. If you need help now, please call 911 or text or call 988 for immediate intervention.
And if you don't have a community around you, come join ours. You're welcome here. If you do have a community, please bring them this healing. I'm going to start bringing back... send this episode to someone you thought about while listening, because that's important. We're supposed to connect. And if you want protracted support from a professional, you can get that over on betterhelp.com/NSLP. Gets you 10% off your first month. And it's the healing you deserve on your terms. What's better than that?
Literally nothing. With that being said, though, as we like to let all of you know, and as you should always embody every single
Eric,
day.
what part of the thing do you want to say? Do you want to say Tim's part, my part, or the last part?
I'm forgetting which you guys say.
Well,
Who says
Tim
what?
says,
Be good to yourselves and each other.
and I say, we love you, and you're worthy of that love. And then we all yell,
Peace! Out of sync.
I'll fix it in post. I'm gonna
Not like
not
it
fix it
matters,
in post.
dog.
Yeah, who cares?
My last
No
point was
street
literally no one
lights.
cares.
When we're finding our way.
No street lights, but we're finding our way. In the dark, but we've got something to say. Lessons learned and stories untold. Come on in, let the truth unfold. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Words might cut, some might make you cry, but they're here for the real, no reason to hide.